It all started with an assignment. A simple criminology homework that seemed harmless enough. But for Alex, a college student known for his habit of overthinking, what was meant to be a research project on criminal psychology quickly spiraled into something he never could have imagined. Alex sat hunched over his desk, surrounded by books and papers. The assignment seemed easy enough, but it required deeper analysis. It was supposed to be a deep dive into the motivations of criminals, how and why they act the way they do, exploring not just human psychology, but also theoretical scenarios. The task required him to imagine the mind of a criminal, a theoretical one who wasn't bound by earthly norms. He had chosen to study the mind of an alien criminal from another planet, one that lived in a society much different than his own. His fingers tapped away at the keyboard as he researched alien species, using resources he had barely understood. Before species with strange biology, cultures, and ways of life, he came across a race called the Xoriths, a species known for their advanced intellect and their deep connection with their home planet's nature. The more Alex read, the more fascinated he became. These aliens weren't like the usual science fiction creatures. Their minds worked on a different wavelength, their motives entirely alien to human comprehension. They didn't feel guilt or shame like humans did. Instead, they had an intrinsic drive to explore and expand their knowledge, even if that meant stepping into moral gray areas. As Alex delved deeper, he stumbled upon an unsettling entry. Ancient Xorith Criminal Case Study, a tale that still haunted his thoughts. A particular individual named Ryla, once part of the High Council of Xoriths, had been accused of an offense so bizarre it defied Alex's understanding. Ryla's crime had been less about law-breaking and more about defying the norms of her species. She had become entangled with humans. It was unheard of for a Xorith to involve themselves so intimately with a species as primitive as humans. Intrigued and driven by curiosity, Alex did what most would consider reckless. He posted on a forum for alien enthusiasts, hoping someone might help him understand more about Ryla's actions. He didn't expect much, but that's when everything began to change. Late one night, just as he was about to close his laptop, a message appeared in his inbox, its sender name untraceable. The message read, "I know what you're looking for. You'll find Ryla, but beware, she's not just a story anymore. She's real." Alex froze, the words vibrating in his chest. At first, he thought it was a prank, but the more he thought about it, the more the message unsettled him. He dismissed it, trying to focus on his work. But the thought lingered in the back of his mind. Days passed. The assignment deadline was approaching, and Alex could not shake off his fascination with the mysterious alien and her strange connection. To humans, the message remained in his inbox, unread, though it haunted him. He had heard rumors about people who claimed to have encountered extraterrestrial beings, but those stories were always dismissed as hoaxes. He never took them seriously. Yet now he was being drawn into something that felt too real to ignore. One evening, as he worked late into the night, his phone buzzed. It was a video message. No name, no subject. Just a blank screen at first. Then, slowly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a woman, pale, with sharp features and eyes that glowed faintly. She looked otherworldly, but her gaze was human in its intensity. The message she spoke was not in any language Alex could comprehend, but somehow he understood it. The video froze, his heart raced. He felt an unsettling presence in his room. Though he was alone, the figure's eyes locked with his, and a sudden surge of warmth ran through him, followed by an overwhelming sense of terror. Something about her felt alive, real, and dangerous. "Ryla is coming for you." The video ended with a whisper. Alex didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he did what anyone in his situation would do. He researched. He tried to figure out who or what Ryla was, hoping to find a rational explanation for what had just happened. But as he sifted through information, he realized something terrifying. The name Ryla wasn't just a myth, it was tied to an ancient event, one that humans were never meant to uncover. Soon after, Alex received another cryptic message. This one contained a single address. It was a remote location, not far from his university, but deep in the woods, away from civilization. Something was drawing him there, an inexplicable force that gnawed at him. Against his better judgment, Alex set off, determined to solve the mystery. The deeper he went into the woods, the more the atmosphere around him changed. The air felt heavier, as if something ancient and powerful was watching him. As he reached the coordinates, he found a small, hidden facility, abandoned but still very much intact. Inside, there were strange markings and symbols that looked like they came from an alien language. And then, standing in the shadows of the room, Alex saw her Ryla. Her features were even more striking in person. She was not human, but there was something deeply familiar about her. She looked at Alex with a knowing smile, as though she had been waiting for him all along. "You're not here by accident," she said softly, her voice melodic and otherworldly. "You've crossed the threshold, Alex. What happens next is beyond your understanding." And that was when everything changed. What had started as a simple criminology assignment had led to a confrontation with an alien species, and a connection between Alex and Ryla that neither of them could have predicted. As the truth began to unfold, Alex realized that the boundaries between his world and hers were thinner than he ever could have imagined. There was no going back now. What was about to happen next would alter the course of human history forever. Alex stood frozen, staring at Ryla, the alien who had just stepped out from the shadows. She wasn't the towering, grotesque creature that sci-fi movies often portrayed. Instead, she had an ethereal, almost angelic presence, her skin pale but not sickly, with sharp, angular features and eyes that seemed to see through him. Her long silver hair cascaded down her back, moving almost as if it had a life of its own, shimmering under the dim light. "Why are you here?" Alex asked, his voice trembling despite his attempts to stay calm. The entire situation was unraveling. Too fast. This wasn't supposed to be part of his criminology homework. This was real. His mind raced as he tried to piece together the puzzle that had led him to this very moment. Ryla's gaze softened, almost as if she were assessing him. "You were meant to find me, Alex," she said, her voice melodic but with an undercurrent of something deeper, something ancient. "Not by accident. I have been waiting for you." Alex took a step back, the hair on the back of his neck standing up. He had come here thinking he might find some answers to a weird assignment, but this was something entirely different. "Waiting for me?" he echoed, his heart pounding in his chest. "I don't understand. I'm just a college student doing a homework assignment. I don't have any reason to be connected to you." Ryla tilted her head, her eyes never leaving his. "Your research, your curiosity, the things you've been studying, they have led you to me. You, Alex, have unlocked a doorway, one that no human was meant to open." Alex's mind raced. Was this a dream, a hallucination? But the fear in his chest felt too real. His body was telling him something was very wrong, but his brain couldn't catch up with the reality of the situation. I don't know what you mean. I'm just here because of an assignment, a paper on criminal psychology." "I didn't think." "You did not think," Ryla interrupted, her voice taking on a darker edge. "But you have stirred something inside me, something ancient and powerful. You are here because of what I need and what I must do." Alex felt a strange chill run through him. Her words hung in the air like a spell, thick with an unspoken meaning. His mind raced. What did she mean by what she needed? Was this some form of alien manipulation? Or was this something even more dangerous? I don't want to be a part of whatever this is," Alex stammered, taking another step back. But Ryla moved with surprising speed, her hand shooting out to grasp his wrist, her grip cold, yet electric. "You are already part of this, Alex," she said softly, her voice a mixture of tenderness and something more sinister. "The moment you looked for me, you became involved. The moment you learned the truth about me, you sealed your fate." Alex's heart pounded. His body screamed at him to run, to escape whatever was unfolding here, but something deeper, something primal in him, kept him rooted to the spot. There was a force he couldn't explain pulling him toward her. "What do you want from me?" Alex demanded, his voice barely above a whisper. He tried to pull away, but her grip was stronger than it should have been, as though she was drawing something from him, something he couldn't understand. Ryla's eyes softened once more. "I need you because I cannot do this alone," she sighed, her tone now gentle. "I have crossed galaxies and dimensions, seen things unimaginable. But I cannot survive without you." She paused. "I need a host." A chill ran down Alex's spine. "A host?" He echoed, his voice barely audible. "You want to possess me." Ryla's lips curved into a sad smile. "Not possess, Alex. Merge. Become something greater than either of us. You will carry part of me, and I part of you. Together, we will complete the cycle that was started long ago. It is the way of my kind." He recoiled at the thought. The horror and confusion were overwhelming. Alex felt his mind snap into a frenzy. Was this some sort of alien ritual? What did this have to do with the criminology assignment? His research had led him here, but he hadn't anticipated anything like this. What if he couldn't get out of this situation? I don't want to be part of your cycle," Alex said, struggling to get his words out. "You can't. Just to do this to me." Ryla's eyes glowed faintly, the light pulsating, and Alex felt his breath catch in his throat. There was a powerful energy in the room now, like something was pressing against him. It felt like the walls were closing in, suffocating him. "I'm afraid you have no choice," Ryla said, her voice a soft whisper now. "You have already opened the door, and the door has no way to close. If you reject me, if you refuse to join, your world will pay the price." Alex could feel his chest tighten as a surge of dread flooded through him. He wanted to run, to flee, but the overwhelming sensation in the air kept him rooted in place. He could feel her alien presence, something alien and ancient, filling his mind. What are you going to do to me?" Alex managed to choke out, his voice barely audible. Ryla's face softened as she took a step closer, her fingers brushing his cheek. "I will become a part of you, and you will become a part of me. You will carry our legacy, and together we will change the fate of your people." Her words hung in the air, and Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. He was caught in something far beyond his understanding, a situation that no amount of research or knowledge could have prepared him for. His thoughts swirled with confusion and terror. Was this the beginning of something far worse than he could ever imagine? Or was he simply caught in the middle of an ancient alien plan, one that had been set in motion long before he even existed? Ryla's smile grew, and Alex realized with a sudden shock that he had just become part of something far bigger than himself, something far more dangerous than anything he could have ever anticipated. Alex's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. His heart raced, and his body screamed for him to flee, to find some way to escape, but there was nowhere to run. The strange, almost magnetic pull that Ryla exerted on him was too strong. He felt as though the very air around him was thick with her presence, a presence that seemed to reach into his soul and twist it. "Ryla," Alex gasped, his voice hoarse. "What are you saying? What do you mean by merge?" Ryla's eyes never left him, her gaze intense, unwavering. "You misunderstand," she said, her voice calm, but there was an edge to it, like she had been forced to explain this too many times. "You will not lose yourself, Alex. You will still be you. But we will be more together. We will become something neither of us could ever achieve alone." Alex stumbled backward, his mind racing for any kind of escape. But his feet felt heavy, almost as though the ground beneath him had become a prison. It wasn't just the fear that gripped him. It was the unsettling feeling that the walls of his own consciousness were beginning to blur. I don't want this, he said, his voice shaky, though he tried to sound firm. You can't just take over my life. You don't understand I'm not like you. I don't want to be some alien experiment. Ryla's expression softened slightly, but there was a coldness in her eyes that sent another chill through him. You are not an experiment, Alex. I did not seek you out for such purposes. But your species, your minds, your capabilities, they are different. I have studied your kind for centuries. I have waited for someone like you. Alex felt a knot form in his stomach. There was something deeply unsettling about the way she spoke, as if his humanity was both intriguing and foreign to her. I don't care what you've been studying, Alex said, his words coming out in a rush. I didn't sign up for this. This isn't what I want, what I planned for. I just wanted to do my homework. How did this all happen? Ryla stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. This has always been your fate, Alex. Your path was set in motion long before you ever knew my name. You were born for this moment, whether you choose to accept it or not. The words echoed in his mind, spinning around him like a cyclone. Born for this moment, what did that even mean? He had been a normal college student just days ago, buried in books and papers, unaware that the very fabric of his reality was about to be ripped apart. Why me? Alex whispered, his voice barely audible. Why not anyone else? Why me? Ryla's face remained still, but her eyes held a strange depth. You are not just anyone, Alex. You are a link, a key, the culmination of an ancient connection between your species and mine. The energy of your people, their capacity for growth, change, and adaptability is something that I and my kind have always admired. You, in particular, are unique. I felt it the moment you began your research, the moment you reached into the unknown. Your curiosity is what drew me here. Alex could hardly breathe. Curiosity, that was it? His insatiable need to understand had led him down this path, brought him face to face with an alien from another world, and now she wanted him to what? Merge with her? Become part of something beyond human comprehension? No, Alex said, his voice now steady but firm. I can't, I won't do it. I'm not some tool for you to use. Ryla didn't respond immediately. She studied him, her gaze assessing, as though weighing his words carefully. There was a long silence between them, one that seemed to stretch on for eternity, and Alex could feel the tension hanging in the air, thick and suffocating. I never wanted to force you, Alex, Ryla said finally, her voice softening. But you must understand I need you. Without your help, without you, I cannot survive. My species is dying. The connection between our two worlds is fragile. It is the only way to save us. Alex's pulse quickened. You're telling me that if I don't agree to this, you'll die? And so will your species? Ryla nodded slowly. Yes, but it is not just my species that will be lost. Yours too. We are intertwined, whether you realize it or not. This is about the survival of both our worlds. We have always been connected. I am not asking for your help out of selfishness. I am asking for the future of all life. Alex's mind reeled. Everything she said was impossible to comprehend. But her words were too convincing, too real. The sense of urgency in her voice, the desperation, it felt genuine. He was torn. There was a part of him that still screamed to run, to reject everything. She said, but there was also something else, something darker in him, urging him to listen, to consider what she was offering. Are you saying that by merging with you, I can help save humanity? Alex asked, his voice trembling despite his attempt to sound in control. Yes, Ryla said, her voice almost pleading now. By combining our strengths, we can change the fate of both our species. I can't do this alone. But together, we can. Before she could finish, Alex's thoughts interrupted the silence in his mind. He had heard about alien invasions in movies, stories about beings wanting to conquer, to destroy. But Ryla didn't seem to want that. She seemed to want help. But the question lingered. Could he trust her? Was this some twisted manipulation, or was there truly a deeper purpose he couldn't understand? There was no turning back now. Alex had already crossed a line he could never uncross. And as much as he wanted to deny it, part of him knew that somehow he was already a part of this. Ryla moved closer, her presence filling the space between them, as if she had no intention of letting him walk away. "You are not alone in this," she whispered, her fingers brushing his arm gently. "But the choice is yours. What will you decide, Alex?" In that moment, Alex realized that whatever choice he made would not only change the course of his life, it would change the very future of humanity itself. Alex stood there, the weight of Ryla's words pressing heavily on his chest. His mind was racing, a storm of confusion and disbelief swirling inside him. Every instinct he had screamed at him to run, to escape, to shut his eyes and pretend none of this was happening. But deep down, something else stirred a strange growing curiosity, an odd sense of connection to the alien woman in front of him. It was like a pull, a force that was slowly eroding his resistance. He looked into Ryla's eyes, searching for any sign of deception, but there was none. She wasn't lying. At least, not in the way he understood lying. Her presence was far too genuine, her emotions too raw. But that didn't mean he had to trust her. He didn't even know if he could trust himself anymore. "I don't know what to believe anymore," Alex whispered, his voice shaking. "You say you're trying to save humanity. But how can I know you're not using me? How can I trust that this is the right thing to do?" Ryla's expression softened, her gaze turning almost sorrowful. "I understand your fear, Alex. I know this is difficult. But this is not about control or manipulation. It is about survival. Your people, your world, they are at a crossroads. You can help me, and I can help you. Together, we can ensure a future for both our species." Her words were calm, and yet they echoed with an unsettling urgency. The calmness of her tone contrasted with the raw, desperate feeling she exuded. Alex's mind was spinning, but there was one thing he knew for certain. He couldn't just walk away. He couldn't pretend none of this had happened. He had already stepped into something too deep, too complicated to ignore. "What happens if I don't do this?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ryla's eyes flashed with something Alex couldn't quite place, a deep sadness perhaps, but also a flicker of fear. She took a slow step toward him, her presence becoming more overwhelming with every movement. "If you refuse, the connection between our worlds will fracture. We have been linked for millennia, Alex. Our survival is interdependent. If I do not merge with you, if we do not join forces, the consequences will be disastrous. You will not just lose me. You will lose everything." Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he processed her words. He had heard stories of alien invasions, of powerful forces from the stars bent on conquering and destroying. But this wasn't like that. Ryla didn't want to conquer anything. She didn't even want to take over his world. She was asking for something else, something strange and complicated. Something dangerous. "You're saying our species are connected?" Alex asked, his voice trembling. "I don't understand. How is that even possible?" Ryla nodded, her gaze steady. "We have always been connected, even before either of us existed in this form. There are forces beyond your understanding at play. Your history, your myths, they speak of gods and alien visitors, but they are mere fragments of the truth. Our two species have been bound together since the beginning. We are part of a greater cycle, A cycle that must continue if both of us are to survive. Alex's mind was reeling. Could it be true? Could everything he had ever learned, everything he had ever believed about the world, be a lie? He had read about ancient civilizations and their belief in visitors from the stars, but that was all just mythology, or was it? How is it that you're the only one left? Alex asked, his voice breaking slightly. If this connection has been around for so long, why are you the last of your kind? Ryla's expression darkened. My people were once numerous, a great civilization that spanned the stars, but we grew arrogant, careless. We overextended ourselves, meddled with forces we did not understand. The result was catastrophe. A war that tore through our society, leaving only a few survivors. My species, we are dying. The link between our worlds is the only thing keeping us alive. Alex felt a pit form in his stomach. The enormity of what she was telling him was staggering. A war, a dying civilization. And now she was asking him to play a part in their survival. He wasn't just some innocent bystander anymore. He was the linchpin. And what happens to me? Alex asked, his voice cracking with the weight of the question. What do you want from me, if we merge? If I become a part of you, what happens to who I am? Will I still be me? Ryla's gaze softened, her expression almost pleading. You will still be yourself, Alex. This is not about taking your identity from you. It's about strengthening both of us. You will carry my knowledge, my memories, my abilities, but you will not lose who you are. You are unique, and I do not wish to erase that. But together, we can become something greater. You can help me heal what was broken, and together, we can bring balance. Alex felt a strange sensation crawling up his spine. He wasn't sure if it was fear or something else, but something inside him was stirring. The idea of losing himself in this this merging. It terrified him. But a part of him wondered if it was the only way forward. The only way to make sure humanity survived whatever catastrophe was coming. The only way to help. Why me? Alex whispered again, almost pleading for an answer he knew he might never get. Why couldn't you find someone else? Someone who actually knows what they're doing. Ryla's lips curled into a small, sad smile. Because you are the key. You have always been the key, Alex. The choice was never yours to make. It was always meant to be you. I have seen the threads of time, the paths that lead to this moment, and yours is the one that connects us. There is no other way. Alex's world was unraveling faster than he could process. Everything he had thought was real. The safety of his life, the predictability of his future, was now in question. He was at the center of something far bigger than himself, something that could reshape the very course of humanity. Ryla moved. Even closer, her fingers brushing against his cheek. You are not alone in this, she said softly. And you do not have to make this decision right now. But the time will come when you will have to choose. And when that moment arrives, I will be here. The air between them was charged, thick with uncertainty. Alex's heart raced as the enormity of the decision weighed on him. The fate of two species rested in his hands. And no matter what he chose, nothing would ever be the same again. The silence hung heavily between them, a suffocating weight that seemed to stretch on forever. Alex's mind spun in circles, each thought colliding with the next, until everything felt like a blur. Ryla's presence was overwhelming, yet strangely comforting, like a gentle but insistent pull on his very being. Her words had been clear. They were bound together by something ancient, something that transcended space and time. But how could he believe it? How could he trust a being that was so far removed from everything he knew? The room felt smaller, now as though the walls were closing in, pressing down on him. The eerie glow in Ryla's eyes, soft but unyielding, seemed to pierce into him. The more he looked into them, the more it felt like she could see into the very depths of his soul. Every doubt, every hesitation, every fear, she knew them all. "I don't know if I can do this," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. The fear in his chest was like a vice, constricting with each passing second. Ryla stepped closer, her gaze never leaving his. "You do not have to do this alone, Alex. I am here with you. We are connected in ways you do not yet understand, but you will. I will guide you through it. Together we will rebuild what was lost." Alex swallowed hard, his throat dry, his hands clammy. He wanted to believe her, to trust her, but everything in him screamed that this wasn't right. He was just a college student, no different than anyone else. He wasn't special, not in the way she claimed. He couldn't bear the weight of such a monumental decision. How could he possibly understand the consequences of something this far-reaching? And yet, he felt a flicker of something else, a deep, unsettling sense that this choice wasn't his to make. That the moment he had opened that first book about criminal psychology, when he had stumbled upon the study of alien minds, this path had already been set in motion. "What happens if I say no?" Alex asked, his voice low. He had to know. He needed to understand what the stakes were before he could make a decision. He needed to know the truth, all of it. Ryla paused for a moment, and for the first time, a shadow of uncertainty passed over her face. It was fleeting, but it was there, something that resembled fear. "If you refuse," she said, her voice steady but quieter, "the link between our worlds will weaken further. The bond that holds our existence together will snap, and the consequences will not just be the end of my species. It will be the end of yours as well." Alex recoiled, his heart pounding. "What does that mean? How would my world end?" "The fractures will spread," Ryla explained. "The energy between our worlds is what sustains us. It is what keeps both of us alive. But if that energy fades, if the link is severed, then the balance will collapse. Without us, your world will be consumed by chaos. Resources will dwindle. Nature will falter. It will tear itself apart, slowly and painfully, and you will lose everything you know. The future you think you have it will be gone." Alex's breath caught in his throat. The thought of humanity, of the world as he knew it fading away, unraveling in such an unimaginable way, was terrifying. It was a nightmare he couldn't even begin to wrap his head around. But was Ryla telling the truth? Could something as strange as this really be the cause of his planet's survival? His mind spun in a chaotic blur of conflicting emotions. He wanted to say no. He wanted to refuse her, to walk away and forget this nightmare. But another part of him, something deep inside, knew that the choice wasn't that simple. Ryla wasn't some malicious invader. She wasn't here to conquer. She was asking for help. She was asking him to help save everything he held dear, even if it meant surrendering a part of himself. "I don't know if I can make this choice," Alex whispered, his voice cracking with the weight of his uncertainty. "How do I know that this will work? How do I know that by merging with you, I won't lose everything, my identity, my life?" "Everything?" Ryla's eyes softened. "You will not lose yourself, Alex. I promise you. The merging is not a loss, but a transformation. We will become something greater, something that both of us need. We are not just two beings from different worlds. We are part of a much larger picture, one that has been unfolding for centuries. You are the key to making it whole again." She stepped closer still, her presence enveloping him, her hand gently reaching out to brush against his arm. "I know this is hard, but you are not alone in this. You have me. You have the strength that is already inside you. Together, we will overcome what is coming. Together, we can rebuild." Alex could feel the warmth of her touch, but it wasn't just physical. There was something deeper in that simple gesture, something that felt like it reached into him, like it touched his very soul. It was as if Ryla's essence was beginning to seep into his mind, breaking down the walls he had built around himself, piece by piece. He could almost feel the weight of her thoughts, of her pain and fear, blending with his own. He wanted to push it away, to reject the pull, but it was too strong. His mind was no longer his alone. And yet, he didn't feel entirely lost. There was something about this connection, this strange, inexplicable bond, that felt right. That felt like something he needed, even if he couldn't fully understand it yet. "Alex," Ryla whispered, her voice full of something tender, something almost human. "It is not too late. You can choose. But if you wait too long, the chance will be gone. The world will start to collapse, and you will have no way to stop it." A wave of dread washed over Alex as he thought of the world outside, the bustling cities, the people living their lives, oblivious to the dangers lurking just beyond their understanding. Could he really make a choice like this? Could he trust himself to make the right decision, one that could change the fate of everything? I don't know," Alex said, his voice strained. "I don't know if I'm strong enough for this." Ryla's hand lingered on his arm, her gaze softening even further. "You are stronger than you think, Alex. You are ready for this, whether you realize it or not. You were never meant to walk this path alone. Now it is time for you to step forward." Alex's mind raced. His future, humanity's future, everything hung in the balance. With a deep breath, he felt his resolve begin to solidify. The decision wasn't going to be easy, it was going to cost him. But it wasn't about just him anymore. It was about something bigger. His voice barely above a whisper, he finally said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll help you." The moment the words left his lips, he felt a surge of energy, a strange, electric sensation that washed over him, sweeping through every fiber of his being. It was like nothing he had ever felt before. Something ancient, something powerful, was awakening inside him. Ryla's face lit up with relief and gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice full of emotion. "We will do this together." And in that moment, Alex realized that the path ahead, no matter how uncertain, had already begun. There was no turning back now. The moment Alex agreed, a strange warmth washed over him, unlike anything he had ever felt before. It wasn't physical warmth, it was deeper, a sensation that seemed to radiate from the core of his being, flowing outward. His heartbeat slowed, and for a brief moment, he felt completely at peace. It was as if he were no longer just himself, no longer bound by the limitations of his body, his thoughts, or his existence. He felt connected. Ryla stood in front of him, her gaze intense, as if she were watching him in some way that went beyond just seeing. Her hand gently gripped his wrist, her touch cool but comforting. There was no hesitation in her movements, no fear, just purpose. "You are ready," she whispered, her voice filled with an emotion that was both foreign and familiar to him. "The connection between us is strong, Alex. It will grow stronger now." Alex could feel it. The air around him seemed to shift, vibrating with an energy he could neither explain nor control. It felt as if something was stirring inside him. Something deep, ancient, and far more powerful than he could comprehend. His thoughts raced fear, confusion, wonder, but beneath it all, there was a growing sense of certainty. This was happening. He couldn't stop it anymore. And maybe, just maybe, this was the right choice. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady, though his heart was still pounding. He wasn't sure if he was saying it to reassure Ryla or to reassure himself. Ryla's lips curved into a gentle smile, her eyes never leaving his. "Then we begin." She placed her other hand on his chest, and the moment her fingers made contact with his skin, Alex felt a jolt of energy shoot through him, as though the very fabric of his being was being untangled and rewoven. It was unlike any sensation he could have imagined, intense, overwhelming, like a flood of raw, untamed power surging through his veins. His vision blurred for a moment, and for a heartbeat, he thought he might lose control. But instead of fear, he felt alive, more aware, more connected. Ryla's presence was all-encompassing, filling his mind, his senses, his soul. He felt her thoughts weaving into his own, her experiences flooding him in a tidal wave of information. Her history, her people, the ancient civilizations she had lived through, everything rushed into him at once. I'm not ready for this," Alex gasped, his voice strained, but it was hard to make sense of his own thoughts. "I didn't. You are more ready than you know," Ryla interrupted, her voice inside his mind, soothing and reassuring. "You're not losing yourself, Alex. You're becoming who you were always meant to be." It was then that Alex realized she wasn't just merging with him. She was sharing her essence, her experiences, and her knowledge. It wasn't just her alien memories filling his mind, it was her spirit, her very being, folding into his. Her ancient, almost forgotten language coursed through his thoughts, though he didn't understand it. Yet, in some strange way, it felt like he did. He could feel her emotions as if they were his own, her loneliness, her grief over the loss of her people, her desperate hope for survival. "You don't have to carry this alone anymore," Ryla whispered, her voice soft and gentle, but powerful at the same time. "I am with you now, Alex. We are one." Suddenly, a sharp, stinging pain ran through his chest, making Alex gasp. It was as though something inside him was shifting, rearranging, breaking free from its previous confines. The sensation was unbearable, and for a moment he thought he might pass out. But just as quickly as it came, the pain faded, leaving behind a strange calm. "I don't know how long I can stand this," Alex thought, trying to voice his discomfort. But his words were barely his own. Ryla's voice filled his mind again, gentle but firm. "You will stand it, Alex. You have to. This is the final step, the union of our two worlds. You will become stronger, smarter, more capable than ever before. The knowledge you now carry will help you understand everything. You will be the bridge between my people and yours." As the words echoed in his head, Alex suddenly felt a jolt of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was as though his body was being expanded, his senses heightened in ways that were overwhelming, disorienting. The room around him blurred and distorted, and for a moment, it was as if time itself had stopped. He could feel the earth beneath his feet, every molecule of air, the pulse of life around him. The connection to Ryla, the merging, was so intense that it almost felt like he was no longer in his body at all, like his existence was no longer confined to a single human form. He tried to speak, to ask her what was happening to him, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, there was a flood of images and emotions, memories not his own but hers. He saw flashes of the ancient Xorith civilization, their cities, their technology, and their fall from grace. He could feel the weight of the war they had fought, the destruction they had caused, and the loss of countless lives. He felt their collective sorrow and their hope for redemption. Then, amidst the flood of alien memories, Alex saw something else: human memories. His own life, his family, his friends. The mundane moments, the laughter, the warmth of human connection. It was overwhelming, but it wasn't just his life anymore. He could feel a strange sense of belonging, as though both worlds, the Xoriths and humanity, had always been intertwined, that his existence had been shaping this moment all along. When the flood of images and emotions finally stopped, Alex stumbled backward, gasping for breath. He felt disoriented, lightheaded, but strangely whole, like the pieces of a puzzle that had been scattered and now had clicked into place. Ryla steadied him, her voice soft but filled with certainty. "You have felt it now, Alex. The power, the knowledge, the connection. You are no longer just a human. You are both a bridge between our worlds. You will help us rebuild what was lost, and in return, we will protect you. Your people will survive." Alex's head swam with the sheer weight of everything that had just transpired. The merging had taken him to the edge of his limits, but now he understood. This was his purpose. The connection between their species wasn't just a survival mechanism, it was a call to action, one that had been waiting for him his entire life. He took a deep breath, his senses fully alive and sharpened, his body pulsing with a newfound energy. Ryla had shown him her world, and he had seen the path ahead. This was no longer just about an alien race trying to survive. It was about saving humanity from a fate that was beyond their control. "I understand now," Alex whispered, his voice hoarse but resolute. "I'll help you. I'll do whatever it takes." And with that, the two worlds began to intertwine, their destinies forever linked. Together, they would face the coming storm. Alex stood in the center of the room, the echoes of his agreement still reverberating through his mind. The connection with Ryla felt as though it were embedded deep within his bones, like a pulse that matched his heartbeat. The weight of the decision he had made was undeniable. He was no longer just a student. He was something more, something that straddled the line between two worlds. The energy that surged within him was both exhilarating and terrifying. It wasn't just his thoughts anymore. He could sense Ryla's consciousness beside his, a quiet but ever-present force guiding him, helping him adjust to the changes that were happening inside him. He could feel the knowledge of her people, their history, their technology, their culture, a vast ancient well of information, now a part of him. "I can feel it," Alex whispered, his voice filled with awe and disbelief. "The knowledge. It's overwhelming." Ryla's presence within him responded gently, like a comforting hand on his shoulder. "It is a lot to bear, I know. But you will learn, Alex. With time you will be able to use it. You have been chosen for this because you are capable, because you are strong enough to wield what we have shared." The weight of her words was heavy, but Alex was no longer afraid. There was a new sense of purpose within him, something deeper than any fear or uncertainty. It was an understanding, as though a veil had been lifted from his eyes, revealing not just his own life, but the entire fate of two worlds. But the path ahead wasn't going to be easy. He had seen the glimpse of the destruction that would befall humanity if the link between their two species was severed. The chaos, the collapse, it was all too real. Alex knew that the stakes were higher than ever, not just for him, but for every person on Earth. "We don't have much time, do we?" Alex asked, his voice steady now. The fear had faded, replaced by something new, a determination he didn't fully understand but knew was crucial. "No," Ryla replied, her voice calm but tinged with urgency. "The fractures in the energy are already growing. It's a matter of time before the link breaks completely. When that happens, everything will begin to unravel. Your world will fall into chaos, and mine will cease to exist. You must prepare." Alex nodded, though his thoughts were still racing. He could already feel the weight of what was to come, the immense responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about the survival of both their species. "How do we fix this?" he asked, his voice low, as if testing the words before committing to them. "The first step," Ryla replied, "is to activate the resonance chamber." Alex furrowed his brow. "Resonance chamber?" Ryla's voice became more serious. "It is a device, created by my people long ago. It was designed to stabilize the link between our worlds, to strengthen it. But it has been dormant for centuries. It is hidden deep in the Xorith archives. If we can reactivate it, it will restore the balance between our worlds, buying us the time we need to rebuild." Alex's heart raced. He knew the task ahead wouldn't be easy. A hidden device deep in alien archives, across a distance he couldn't even fathom. It was a mission that sounded impossible, and yet, it didn't matter. He had made his choice. There was no turning back now. "How do we get there?" Alex asked, his voice hard with resolve. Ryla's presence deepened, a comforting weight. In his mind, I can guide you. The knowledge within you now is the key. You will find it, Alex. I will help you find the path to the resonance chamber. Alex nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Everything inside him told him that this was the only way forward. He had to find the resonance chamber. He had to restore the link. The future of two worlds rested on it, but Ryla wasn't finished. There is more you must understand, she continued, her voice growing more serious. You are not the only one who knows of the chamber. There are others who would see it destroyed. They are the remnants of the war that once tore my species apart. They believe that the link between our worlds should be severed, that humanity should not survive. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Enemies? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes, Ryla said, her voice dark. They will do everything they can to stop you. They will try to prevent you from reaching the chamber, and if they succeed, everything will be lost. Alex clenched his fists, the weight of their mission settling heavily on him. It wasn't just the restoration of the link now. It was a race against time and against forces who would see the entire effort destroyed. He had no idea who or what these enemies were, but he could already feel the danger creeping closer. It wasn't just the fate of the world that rested. On his shoulders it was his life too. I'm ready, Alex said, his voice steady now. Even in the face of this unknown threat, we'll stop them, we'll restore the link. Ryla's presence within him was filled with pride and a hint of sadness. I know you are, Alex, but know this. You are not alone in this fight. I am with you, and I will guide you every step of the way. The air in the room shifted, and Alex could feel the energy around him hum with life. It was as though everything around him had come alive in response to the merging of their two worlds. He wasn't just Alex anymore. He was something more, something that connected the past and future of two civilizations. And with Ryla at his side, he would fight to protect both their futures. As he turned to face the unknown, Alex felt a sudden surge of determination. The task ahead would be dangerous, and there would be no guarantee of success. But one thing was certain. He would stop at nothing to save his world, and Ryla's, whatever the cost. And as they prepared to embark on the journey that would take them across galaxies and through the heart of danger, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The merging of their species was not just a survival mechanism, it was a new beginning. One that would rewrite the destiny of both worlds. And he would be the one to write it.